Good day, everyone. I am Leslie Ann Lestojas. For today, we will be discussing Unit 8, Ethics and Economy, with my group members Raymond J. Bual, Aaron Capuyan, Carl Tan, Laura May Arangoso, Rhea Del Rosario, and Jasmine K. Adiva. Our intended learning objectives: at the end of the unit, you should be able to analyze case studies, historical examples, and theoretical frameworks to assess the effectiveness of various approaches in achieving a harmonious relationship between ethical considerations and economic progress within a society. ENDO is a term familiar to thousands of job seekers in the country. It is an abbreviated form of the phrase "end of contract," which happens when a contractual employee finishes her employment term, which is usually 5 months. The term ENDO is widely recognized among job seekers in the country as an abbreviation for end of contract. This occurs when a contractual employee's employment term, typically lasting 5 months, comes to an end. Reports place the number of Filipino workers who are employed without regular position at over a million. This represents roughly 29.9% of around 4.472 million members of the Filipino workforce. The Labor Code of the Philippines mandates that an individual may be considered a regular employee once he or she is able to complete the mandatory probationary period of 6 months. So under Article 281 of the Labor Code of the Philippines, the maximum length of probationary employment shall be 6 months and is counted from the date an employee started working. When the employment is not terminated after the 6 months probationary period, it shall then be considered regular employment. So that's all with my report. The next reporter is Ms. Del Rosario.
So what is ethical aspect of economy? So ethics is the economy involves assessing the moral aspect of how money, work, and resources are managed in society. And this is also exploring the ethical aspect of the economy entails examining the moral consideration behind how finances, employment, and resources are handled within the societal framework. This involves assessing the fairness of wealth distribution, the treatment of workers, and the environmental impact of economic activities. So, who is Karl Marx? A renowned philosopher, economist, and social theorist, made significant contribution to the understanding of economics and its ethical dimension. So, Karl was born in May 5, 1818 in Trier, Germany, and died in March 14, 1883 in London, United Kingdom. His best-known works are the 1848 pamphlet, The Communist Manifesto, and the 3-volume Das Kapital in 1867 to 1894. He worked primarily in the realm and political philosophy and was a famous advocate. So for Karl, why the ethical aspect of economy is very crucial for him? So because he believed that economic system, particularly capitalism, inherently lead to social justice and exploitation. So he argued that understanding the ethical dimension of the economy was essential for recognizing and addressing issues such as labor exploitation, inequality, and alienation. His focus on ethics stemmed from desire to critique and transform the existing economic structure to create a more just and equitable society.
Labor exploitation. Marx argued that capitalism exploits workers by extracting surplus value from their labor. Despite their effort, workers receive wages that do not reflect the true value they contribute to production. this imbalance, known as the labor theory of value. This ethical issue of unfair wealth distribution within capitalist system. So, we all know that this issue is very familiar to us because a lot of people experiences this kind of situation. Like, I will give you some examples. Imagine a worker in a factory making a shoes. They work for 8 hours a day but only get paid for 4 hours of their actual value. This means the company makes extra profit from their labor while the workers doesn't get what they deserve. So, ang labor exploitation ay ang pagsasamantala sa paggawa ay nangyayari kapag hindi patas ang pagbabayad sa mga manggagawa sa isang sistemang kapitalista. Sinabi ni Karl Marx dito na pinapagawa ng mga kumpanya sa manggagawa ang higit pang trabaho kaysa sa binabayaran sa kanila. Ito ay nangangahulugan mas yumayaman ang mga kumpanya. Ngunit, hindi makatwiran ang mga sahod na mga manggagawa. Kumbaga, parang hindi nakukuha ang mga manggagawa ng kanilang patas na bahagi ng kikitain. Marx's concept of alienation extends beyond economic exploitation to describe the profound estrangement workers experience. So the workers here, they feel disconnected from the products they create, the production process itself, and even their own humanity. This alienation stems from the reduced status to more commodities, devoid of autonomy and dignity in the production of process. So this means daw nga pagka-alienante or alienation ay ang mga manggagawa ay nakakaramdam kapag hindi sila konektado sa mga bagay na kanilang ginagawa or parang hindi daw sila belong sa paraan kung paano nila ito ginawa at maging sa kanilang sarili. Sa isang sistemang kapitalista, maaring pakiramdam ng mga workers o yung mga manggagawa na sila ay parang bagay lamang, hindi bilang tunay na mga tao. Kumbaga, hindi talaga sila pinapahalagaan. Maaring pakiramdam nila na sila ay maliit na bahagi lamang na isang malaking makina, hindi pinapahalagahan para sa kanilang sariling kasanayan o idea.
Now, let's talk about commodification of labor. Marx argued that capitalism commodifies labor, reducing workers to commodities and eroding their sense of self-worth and autonomy, raising their ethical questions about worker dignity and rights. In Marx's analysis of capitalism, it delves into the notion that labor, a fundamental human activity, is transformed into a commodity subjected to market dynamics. This commodification of labor signifies a paradigm shift for individuals as workers are treated as a means of an end, the end being the generation of profits for capitalists. Within the capitalist system, labor is subjected to the law of supply and demand, akin to any other traded commodity. This means that the value of labor is determined not by its intrinsic worth or well-being it contributed to society, but the market force that dictate its price. Workers in this context become instrument in the profit-making process rather than autonomous individual with inherent dignity. Marx's concern goes beyond economic structures. It extends to the ethical implication of reducing individual to mere factor of production. The commodification of labor not only places a price tag on human effort but also erodes the sense of self-worth and autonomy of workers. The value of a person in a capitalist framework are primarily tied to their economic output, leading to a dehumanizing effect. This reduction of human beings to economic entities has profound consequences on societal relationship and individual identities. Marx argued that the capitalist system, by its very nature, transforms social bonds into economic transactions and turn individuals into mere appendage of production process. Consequently, workers may experience alienation from their own labor, feeling detached from the products they create and the overall societal structure. In essence, Marx's critique of the commodification of labor in capitalism revolve around the ethical questions in races regarding the dignity and rights of individuals. The system, according to Marx, inherently devalues human beings, eroding their sense of self-worth and autonomy in pursuit of profit.
Class conflict and inequality. Marx's analysis delved into the ethical dimensions of class conflict and inequality within capitalist societies. He contended that capitalism maintains a hierarchical structure wherein the bourgeoisie or capitalist class wields economic dominance over the proletarian or working class. This unequal distribution of wealth and resources fosters social fragmentation and amplifies disparities, which Marx deemed morally unjust. Marx's criticism on capitalism is based on his analysis of the inherent problems and unfair nature of the capitalist system. According to Marx, capitalism is set up in a way that naturally results in the gathering of wealth and power by a small ruling class, the bourgeoisie, while the most people, the proletariat, are left to work hard for little pay and face financial uncertainty. This unequal sharing of resources and wealth causes social inequalities and creates a cycle of unfairness where the bourgeoisie benefits from the labor of the working class. Additionally, Marx's study of capitalism explores the idea of alienation, where workers feel disconnected from the things they produce and distant from the process of making them. This separation not only means workers don't get to enjoy the results of their work, but also makes them feel detached and unhappy with their jobs and roles in society. The alienation felt by the proletariat under capitalism makes labor seem less human and more like a product, turning workers into just parts of the capitalist system without much control of say. Moreover, Marx's criticism highlights the systemic unfairness caused by capitalism, pointing out the exploitation and mistreatment built into the capitalist way of doing things. The capitalist system, focused on making profits and gaining more money, puts the need of the bourgeoisie first and ignores the struggle of the working class, leading to widespread poverty, inequality, and social unrest. Marx's analysis shows the importance of changing economic and social system fundamentally to break down the power imbalances that support capitalism and to create a fair and more caring society that respects the well-being and dignity of everyone.
Economic determinism and materialism. Marx's perspective on the ethical dimension of the economy is closely tied to his materialist conception of history. He believed that economic structures determine the social and political superstructure of a society. In this framework, ethical values and norms are often shaped by the economic mode of production. This implies that ethical considerations can be influenced by the interests of the ruling class. Critique of capitalist ethics. Marx's work also challenges the prevailing ethics of capitalism, which often prioritize individual profit, maximization, and competition. He argued that such ethics perpetuate a culture of greed and self-interest, undermining the well-being of the majority. Karl Marx's examination of the ethical aspects of the economy provides a critical lens through which to assess the social and moral implication of economic systems. His insight into labor exploitation, alienation, commodification, class conflict, and the influence of economic structures on ethical values continue to shape discussion about economic justice, inequality, and the role of the state in promoting a fair and ethical economic climate. While his ideas have sparked extensive debate and criticism, they remain integral to understanding the ethical dimensions of economy and its impact on society.
Critique of capitalist ethics. Marx thought that the capitalistic system would inevitably self-destruct. Capitalism has been criticized for a number of reasons throughout history. Among them are the unreliability of instability of capitalist growth, production of social harms such as pollution and inhuman treatment of workers, and forms of inequality attributed to capitalism, such as mass income disparity. Prominent among critics of capitalism are accusations that capitalism is inherently exploitative, alienating, unstable, and unsustainable, and creates massive economic inequality, commodifies people, and is anti-democratic and leads to an erosion of human rights. Marx's work also challenges the prevailing ethics of capitalism, which often prioritize individual profit maximization and competition. He argued that such ethics perpetuate a culture of greed and self-interest, undermining the well-being of the majority. Karl Marx's examination of the ethical aspects of the economy provides a critical lens through which to assess the social and moral implications of economic systems.
Capitalism and commodification. Capitalism persists today with commodification encapsulating its effects. Commodification denotes the transformation of everything into commodities for purchase and consumption, emphasizing money as the primary measure of value. These shifts foster a consumerist culture where materials acquisition overshadows human development. Many students now prioritize education solely for lucrative career prospects, influenced by a curriculum catering to corporate demands. This trend raises questions about the true essence of progress, as individuals prioritize earning potential over personal growth and holistic development, highlighting a disconcerting aspects of contemporary societal values. So, capitalism as the main economic system leads to the commercialization of various parts of life, where goods, services, and even education are turned into product for sale. This leads to a culture where making money and acquiring material possessions becomes very important, often overshadowing the true value of human experiences and personal development. For instance, in the education sector, students might choose fields of study that are seen to offer higher salary in the job market, shifting the focus from learning out of curiosity and overall growth. This focus on commercialization and financial gain in education is part of a larger societal pattern where people are taught to prioritize economic success over other aspects of life. The commercialization of education can make students see knowledge as a way to get a well paying job rather than appreciating education for its ability to transform and enlighten. This trend supports the consumer culture promoted by capitalism, raising worries about losing sight of values like personal growth, critical thinking, and developing individuals beyond their economic value. And that's it for our report about ethics and economy. I hope you learned something about. Thank you.